sons of Pandu, so expertly arranged by your intelligent discipline of the sons of Dropada, disciples of the son of Dropada. Here in this army are many heroic bowmen equal in fighting to Bhima and Arjuna, great fighters like Yuyudhana, Virat, and Dropada. There are also great heroic, powerful fighters like
Drishtaketu, Jaikitana, Kashiraja, Purujit, Kunti Bhoj, and Saibya.
There are the mighty
Yadhumanyu
and the powerful Uttamanja, the son of Subhadra, and the sons of Draupadi. All these warriors are great chariot fighters. But for your information, O best of the Brahmins, let me tell you about the captains who are especially qualified to lead my military force. There are personalities like you, Bhima, Karna, Kripa, Ashwatthama, Vikarna, and the son of Somedhya called Bhurishrava, who are always victorious in battle. There are many other heroes who are prepared to lay down their lives for my sake. All of them are well equipped with different kinds of weapons. All are experienced in military science. Our strength is immeasurable, and we are perfectly protected by grandfather Bhishma, whereas the strength of the Pandavas, carefully protected by Bhishma, is limited. All of you must now give full support to Grandfather Bhishma as you stand at your respective strategic points of entrance into the phalanx of the army. After that, the conch shell drums, bundles, trumpets, and horns were all suddenly sounded, and the combined sound was tumultuous. Where? Then Bhishma and the great valiant grandsire of the Kuru dynasty, the grandfather of fighters, blew his conch shell very loudly, making a sound like the roar of a lion, giving Duryodhana joy. After that, the conch shell, drums, bugles, trumpets, and horns were all suddenly sounded, and the combined sound was tumultuous. On the other side, both Lord Krishna and Arjuna, stationed on a great chariot drawn by white horses, sounded their transcendental conch shells. Lord Krishna blew his conch shell called Panchajanya. Arjun blew his, the Devadatta, and Bhima, the voracious eater and performer of Herculean tasks, blew his terrific conch shell called Pandra. King Yudhishthira, the son of Kunti, blew his conch shell, the Ananta Vijaya, and Nakula and Sadeva blew the Sughosha and Mani Pushpak. That great archer, the king of Keshi, the great fighter Sikhandi, Duma, Virata, the unconquerable Satyaki, Drupada, the sons of Draupadi, and others, O king, such as the mighty army, son of Subhadra, all blew their respective conch shells. The blowing of these different conch shells became uproarious, vibrating both in the sky and on earth. It shattered the hearts of the sons of Dhritarashtra. At that time, Arjuna, the son of Pandu, seated in the chariot, bearing the flag marked with Hanuman, took up his bow and prepared to shoot his arrows. O king, after looking at the sons of Dhritarashtra, drawn in military array, Arjuna then spoke to Lord Krishna these words. Arjuna said, O infallible one, please draw my chariot between the two armies so that I may see those present here, those who desire to fight and with whom I must contend in this great trial of arms. Sanjaya said, O descendant of Bharat, let me see those who have come here to fight, wishing to please the evil-minded son of Dhritarashtra. Sanjaya said, O descendant of Bharata, having thus been addressed by Arjuna, Lord Krishna drew up the fine chariot in the midst of armies of both parties. In the presence of Bhishma, Drona, and all the other chieftains of the world, the Lord said, Just behold Partha and all the Kurus assembled here.
There Arjun could see, within the midst of the armies of both parties, his fathers, grandfathers, teachers, maternal uncles, brothers, sons, grandsons, friends, and also his father-in-laws and well-wishers. When the son of Kunti, Arjun, saw all these different grades of friends and relatives, he became overwhelmed with compassion and spoke thus. Arjun said, My dear Krishna, seeing my friends and relatives present before me in such a fighting spirit, I feel the limbs of my body quivering and my mouth drying up. My whole body is trembling, my hair is standing on end, my bow Gandiva is slipping from my hand, and my skin is burning. I am now unable to stand here any longer. I am forgetting myself and my mind is reeling. I see only causes of misfortune, O Krishna, killer of the Keshi demon. I do not see how any good can come from killing my own kinsmen in this battle. Nor can I, my dear Krishna, desire any subsequent victory, kingdom, or happiness. O Govinda, of what avail to us are a kingdom, happiness, or even life itself when all those for whom we may desire them are now arid on this battlefield? O Madhusudan, when teachers, fathers, sons, grandfathers, maternal uncles, father-in-laws, grandsons, brothers-in-law, and other relatives are ready to give up their lives and properties and are standing before me, why should I wish to kill them, even though they might otherwise kill me? O maintainer of all living entities, I am not prepared to fight with them, even in exchange for the three worlds, let alone this earth. What pleasure will we derive from killing the sons of Dhritarashtra? Sin will overcome us if we slay such aggressors. Therefore, it is not proper for us to kill the sons of Dhritarashtra and our friends. What should we gain, O Krishna, husband of the goddess of fortune? And how could we be happy by killing our own kinsmen? O Janardhan, although these men, their hearts overtaken by greed, see no fault in killing one's family or quarreling with friends, why should we, who can see the crime in destroying a family, engage in these acts of sin? With the destruction of dynasty, the eternal family traditional is vanquished, and thus the rest of the family becomes involved in irreligion. When irreligion is prominent in the family, O Krishna, the women of the family become polluted. And from the degradation of womanhood, O descendant of Vrishni, comes unwanted progeny. An increase of unwanted population certainly causes hellish life both for the family and for those who destroy the family tradition. The ancestors of such corrupt families fall down because the performances for offering them food and water are entirely stopped. By the evil deeds of those who destroy the family tradition and thus give rise to unwanted children, all kinds of community projects and family welfare activities are devastated. O Krishna, maintainer of the people, I have heard by disciplic succession that those who destroy family tradition dwell always in hell. Alas, how strange it is that we are preparing to commit greatly sinful acts. Driven by the desire to enjoy royal happiness, we are intent on killing our own kinsman. Better for me if the sons of Dhritarashtra, weapons in hand, were to kill me unarmed and unresisting on the battlefield. Sanjay said, Arjun, having thus spoken on the battlefield, cast aside his bow and arrows and sat down on the chariot, his mind overwhelmed with grief. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purports to the first chapter of Srimad Bhagavad Gita in the matter of observing the armies on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Yes. Chapter 2, Contents of the Gita summarized. Sanjaya Vacha Tam Tata Kripayavishtam Ashru Purna Kulekshanam Vishitantam Idam Vakyam Uvacha Madhusudanaha Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Kutastvakashmalam Idam Vishame Samupasitam Anaryadushtam Asvargyam Akirti Karamarjuna Kalbyam Masmagham Aparta Naitatva Yupapadyate Kshudram Hridaya Daurpalyam Takpotishta Parantapa Arjuna Uvacha Katam Bhishmamaham Sankhye Dronam Chamadusudana Ishibihi Pratiyotsyami Bhujaro Arisudana Guru Nihatva hi Mahanubhavan Shreyo Bhoktum Vaikshamapi Haloke Atvartakamam Suguru Nihaiva Bunji Abogan Rudira Pratigdan Nachaitadvidmaha Kataranno Gariyo Yadva Jayema Yadivano Jayeyuhu Yaneva Hatva Najijiva Shamas Devashishtha Pramuke Dhatarashtraha कार्पण्यदोषोपहतः स्वभाव पृच्छामि त्वं धर्मसम्मूढचेता यक्श्रेयस्य निश्चितं ब्रूहि तन्मे शिष्यस्तेऽहं स्वादिमां त्वां प्रपन्नं नाहि प्रपश्यामि मम पानुन्द्याद्यच्छोकमुच्छोषणम् इन्द्रियाणाम् अवाप्य भूमौ वसपत्नं वृद्धं राज्यं सुराणामपि चाधिपत्यम् सञ्जय उवाच एवमुक्तः ऋषिकेशं गुडाकेश परन्तपा दयोच्यैति गोविन्दम् उक्त्वा तुष्णीं बभूवः तमुवाच ऋषिकेशः प्रहसन्निव भारत सेनयोरुभयोर्मध्ये विषिद्धान्तमिदं वचः श्रीभगवानुवाच अशोच्यनं वशोचस्त्वं प्रज्ञावादं च भाषसे गतासु न गतासुंश्च नानुशोचन्ति पण्डिताः न त्वेवाहं जातुनासं न त्वं नेमे जनाधिपः न चैव न भविष्यामः सर्वे वयमतः परं देहिनोऽस्मिन् यथा देहे कौमारं यौवनं जरा तथा देहान्तरप्राप्ते धीरस्तत्र न मुह्यति मात्रा स्पर्शास्तु कौन्तेय शीतोष्ण सुखदुःखदः आगमापायिनो नित्यास्तांसि भारता यां हि नाव्यतयन्त्येते पुरुषं पुरुषर्षभा समाधुका सुखधीरं सौम्यतत्त्वाय कल्पते विद्यते बाहो नाभावो विद्यते सतः उभयोरपि दृष्टान्तस्त्वन्योस्तत्त्वदर्शिभिः अविनाशी तु तद्विद्धि येन सर्वमिदं ततं विनाशमव्ययस्य न कश्चित् कर्तुमर्हति अन्तवन्त इमे देहे नित्यशोक्ता शरीरिणः अनाशीनो प्रमेयस्य तस्मात् धृत्यस्व भारत य एनं वेत्ति हन्तारं यश्चैनं मन्यते हतं उभौ न विजानीतो नायं हन्ति न हन्यते न जायते म्रियते वा कदाचिन् नायं भूत्वा भविता वा न भूयः अजो नित्यः शाश्वतोऽयं पुराणो न हन्यते हन्यमाने शरीरे वेदाविनाशिनं नित्यं यायेनमजमव्ययम् कथं सा पुरुषा पाता कं घातयन्ति हन्तिकम् वासांसि जीर्णानि यथा विहाय नवानि गृह्णाति नरोपराणि तथा शरीराणि विहाय जीर्णानि अन्यानि संयाति नवानि देहि नैनं चिन्नति शस्त्राणि नैनं दहति पावकः न चैनं क्लेद्यन्त्यापो न शोषयति मारुतः अचेद्योऽयमदाह्योऽयमक्लेद्यो शोष्य एव च नित्यः सर्वजगत्स्थाणुरचलोऽयं सनातनः अव्यक्तोऽयमचिन्त्योऽयमविकार्योऽयमुच्यते तस्मादेवं विदित्वैनं नानुशोचितुमर्हसि अथा चैनं नित्यजातं नित्यवामान्यसे मृतं तथापि त्वमाबाहो नैनं शोचितुमर्हसि जातस्य हि ध्रुवो मृत्युर्ध्रुवं जन्ममृतस्य च तस्मादपरिहार्यते न त्वं शोचितुमर्हसि अव्यक्तादीनि भूतानि व्यक्तमध्यानि भारत अव्यक्तानि तनान्येव तत्र का परिदेवना आश्चर्यवत् पश्यति कश्चिदेनम् आश्चर्यवत् वदति तथैव चान्यः आश्चर्यवच्चैनमान्यः शृणोति श्रुत्वाप्येनं वेद न चैव कश्चित् देहि नित्यमवध्योऽयं देहे सर्वस्य भारत तस्मात् सर्वाणि भूतानि नात्तुं शोचितुमर्हसि स्वधर्ममपि चावेक्ष्य न विकम्पितुमर्हसि धर्म्याद्धि तच्छ्रेयोऽन्यात् क्षत्रियस्य न विद्यते यदृच्छाय चोपपन्नं स्वर्गद्वारमपावृतं सुखिनः क्षत्रिया पार्था लभन्ते युद्धमीदृशम् अतः चेत् त्वमिमं धर्म्यां संग्रामं न करिष्यसि तथा स्वधर्मं कीर्तिं च हित्वा पापमवाप्स्यसि अकीर्तिं चापि भूतानि कथयिष्यन्ति ते व्ययाम् सम्भवितस्य चाकीर्तिर्मरणादातिरिच्यते बाह्याद्रानदुपरतं मंस्यन्ते त्वां महारथाः येषां च त्वं बहुमतो भूत्वा यस्यसि लाघवम् अवाच्यवादंश्च बहून् विदिष्यन्ति तवाहिताः निन्दन्तस्तव समात्यं ततो दुःखात्तरं नु किम् हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे
You're missing a lot of Mahapranas.
Okay, Prabhu.
Every word is important when you're listening to people.
हतो वा हतो वा प्रप्स्यसि स्वर्गं जित्वा वा भोक्ष्यसे महिं तस्मादुत्तिष्ठ कौन्तेय युद्धाय कृतनिश्चया सुखदुःखे समे कृत्वा लाभालाभौ जयो तत्नमुद्युध्यस्य नयं पापमवक्ष्यसि एषा ते विहिता संख्ये बुद्धिर्योगे त्विमं शृणु बुद्ध्या यथा यया पार्थ कर्मबन्धं प्रहस्यसि नेहा विक्रमनाशोऽस्ति प्रत्यवायो न विद्यते स्वल्पमप्यस्य धर्मस्य त्रायते महतो भयात् व्यवसायात्मिका एकः कुरुनन्दन बहुशाखाहीनस्तस्य बुद्धयो व्यवसायिनां यामिमां पुष्पितं वाचं प्रवद्यन्त्य विपश्चिता वेदवादा रता पार्थ नान्यदस्तीतिवादिनां कामात्माना स्वर्गपरा जन्मकर्मफलप्रदां क्रियाविशेषबहुलां भोगैश्वर्यगतिं प्रति भोगैश्वर्यप्रसक्तानां तया पार्थचेतसां व्यवसायात्मिका बुद्धिः समादौ न विधीयते नैगुण्यविषया वेदा निश्चैगुण्यो भवार्जुन निर्द्वन्द्वो नित्यसत्त्वस्थो निर्योगाश्रमात्मवान् यावान् अर्थबुधापाने सर्वथा संप्लुतोदके धावान् सर्वेषु वेदेषु ब्राह्मणस्य विजातन कर्मण्येवाधिकारस्ते मा फलेषु कदाचन मा कर्मफलहेतुर्भूर्मा ते सङ्गोऽस्त्वकर्मणि योगस्था कुरु कर्माणि सङ्गं त्यक्त्वा धनञ्जय सिद्ध्यसिद्ध्योकं समो भूत्वा समत्वं योग उच्यते दूरेण ह्यत्वरं कर्म बुद्धियोगधनञ्जय बुद्धौ शारणमन्विच्च कृपाणां फलहेतवा बुद्धियुक्तो जहाता उभयेषु कृतदुष्कृते तस्माद्योगयुज्यस्व योगकर्मसु कौशलम् कर्मजं बुद्धियुक्ता हि फलं त्यक्त्वा मनीषिणा जन्मबन्धाद्विमुक्ता गच्छन्ति अनामयम् यदा मोहकालीलां बुद्धिर्व्यतितरिष्यति तदा गासि निर्वेदं श्रोतव्यस्य श्रुतस्य च श्रुतिविधानाते यदा तस्य निश्चला समाधावचला बुद्धिस्तदा योगमवाप्स्यसि अर्जुन उवाच स्थितप्रज्ञस्य च का भाषा समाधिर्यस्य केशव स्थितादि किम् अप्रभाषेत किमस्थितः व्रजेत किम् श्रीभगवानुवाच प्राणन्ति एककामान् सर्वपार्थमनोगतान् आत्मन्येवात्मना तुष्टा स्थितप्रज्ञस्तदोच्यते दुःखेष्वनुद्विग्नमाना दुःखेषु विगता स्पृहा वीतरागभया क्रोधा स्थितादिमनिरुच्यते या सर्वाणां त्रिविषेण तथाप्यशुभाशुभं नाभिनन्दति न द्वेषी न प्रज्ञा प्रतिष्ठिता यदा संहरते चायं गुणोऽन्विद्यते सर्वशः इन्द्रियाणीन्द्रियार्थेभ्यास् तस्य प्रज्ञा परिष्ठिता विषया विनिवर्तन्ते निराहारस्य देहिनः रसवर्जं रसोऽप्यस्य परं दृष्ट्वा निवर्तते ततोऽपि कौन्तेय पुरुषस्य विपाश्चिता इन्द्रियाणि प्रमाथीनि हरन्ति प्रशवं मनः तानि सर्वाणि संयम्य युक्ताश्चितमत्परा निसेन्द्रियाणि ज्ञातो विषयान् पुंसा सङ्गस्ते सुपजायते सङ्गात् सञ्जयते कामात् क्रोधोऽभिजायते क्रोधात् भवति सम्मोहः सम्मोहात् स्मृतिविभ्रमः स्मृतिभ्रंशात् बुद्धिनाशः प्रणश्यति रागद्वेषविमुक्तैस्तु विषयानिन्द्रियैश्चरन् आत्मविषयधामाधिगच्छति प्रसादे सर्वदुःखानां हानिरस्योपजायते प्रसन्ना चेतसो ह्यस्तु बुद्धिपर्यवेक्षते नास्ति बुद्धिरयुक्तस्य न च युक्तस्य भावना न च भावयता शान्तिः असन्तस्य कुतः सुखम् इन्द्रियाणां हि चरतां यन्मनोनुविधीयते तदस्य हरति प्रज्ञं वायुर्नवमिवं वसि तस्माद्यस्य महाबाहो निगृहीतानि सर्वशः इन्द्रियाणीन्द्रियार्थेभ्यास् तस्य प्रज्ञा परिष्कृता यानि सा सर्वभूतानां रस्यं जागर्ति संयमी यस्यं जगति भूतानि सनि स वशितो महे पूर्यमाणमचला प्रतिष्ठं समुद्रमप्रविशान्ति यद्वत् तद्वत् कामयं प्रविशान्ति सर्वे ससानोद्यतकामि विहाय कामं यः सर्वान् पुंश्चरति निःस्पृहा निर्ममो निःकान्ता संसन्तिमधिगच्छति एषा भ्रामी स्थितिः पार्थ नैनं प्राप्य विमुह्यति स्थितवस्यम् अन्तकालेऽपि ब्रह्मनिर्वाणं गच्छति हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे hare. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purports, the second chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam in the matter of its contents.
Arjuna said, Janardana, O Keshava, why do you want to engage me in ghastly warfare? If you think that intelligence is better than my fruitive work. My intelligence is bewildered by your equivocal instructions. Therefore, please tell me decisively which will be the most beneficial for me. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, O sinless Arjuna, I have already explained that there are two classes of men who try to realize the self. Some are inclined to understand by the empirical philosophical speculation, while others by devotional service. Not by merely abstaining from work can one achieve freedom from reaction, nor by renunciation alone can one attain perfection. Everyone is forced to act helplessly according to their qualities he has acquired from the modes of material nature. Therefore, no one can refrain from doing something, not even for a moment. One who restrains the senses of action, but whose mind dwells on sense objects, certainly deludes himself and is called a pretender. Perform your prescribed duty. On the other hand, if a sincere person is trying to control the active senses by the mind and begins karma yoga in Krishna consciousness without attachment, he is by far superior. Perform your prescribed duty, for doing so is better than not working. One cannot even maintain one's physical body without work. Work is done as a sacrifice for Vishnu, has to be performed, otherwise work causes bondage in the material world. Therefore, O son of Kunti, perform your prescribed duties for satisfaction, and in that way you will always remain free from bondage. In the beginning of creation, the Lord of all creatures sent forth generations of men and demigods, along with sacrifices for Vishnu, and blessed them by saying, "Be thou happiness in yajna sacrifice, because its performance will bestow upon you everything desirable for living happily and achieving liberation." The demigods, being pleased by sacrifices, uh, will also please you, and thus by cooperation between men and demigods, prosperity will reign for all. In charge of various necessities of life, the demigods, being satisfied by the performances of yajna, will supply all necessities to you. But he who enjoys such gifts without offering them to demigods is in return is certainly a thief. The devotees of the Lord are released from all kinds of sins, because they eat food which is offered first for sacrifice. Others who prepare food for personal enjoyment rarely eat only sin. All living bodies subsist food on food grains, which are produced from rains. Rains are produced by performances of yajna, and yajna is born of prescribed duties. Regulated activities are prescribed in the Vedas, and the Vedas are directly manifested from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Consequently, all the pervading transcendence is eternally situated in acts of sacrifice. My dear Arjuna, one who does not follow the human life cycle, in human life, the cycle of sacrifice, thus established by the Vedas, certainly leads to a life full of sin, living only for the satisfaction of the senses, such as person lives in vain. But for one who takes pressure in the self, whose human life is one of self-realization, and who is satisfied in self only, fully satiated, for him there is no duty. A self-realized man has no purpose to fulfill in discharge of his prescribed duties, nor has he any reason to perform such work, nor has he any need to depend on any other living being. Therefore, without being attached to fruits or of activities, one should act as a matter of duty. By working without attachment, one attains the supreme. Such kings such as Janaka attained perfection solely by performing of his prescribed duties. Therefore, just for the sake of educating the people in general, you should perform your work. Whatever action a great man performs, common men follow, and whatever standards he sets by exemplary act, all the world pursues. O son of Partha, there is no work prescribed for me within all the three planetary systems, nor am I in want of anything, nor have I need to obtain anything, and yet I am engaging in prescribed duties. For if I have failed to engage in carefully performing my prescribed duties, or Partha, certainly all men would follow my path. If I did not perform as prescribed duties, all these worlds would be put into ruination. I would be the cause of creating the unwanted population, and I would thereby destroy the peace of all living beings. As the ignorant perform their duties with attachment to results, the learned of may similarly act without attachment, for the sake of leading people on the right path, so as not to disrupt the minds of ignorant men attached to the fruitive results of prescribed duties. A learned person should not induce them to stop work. Rather, by working in spirit of devotion, he should engage them in all sorts of activities. The spirit soul, bewildered by the influence of false ego, thinks himself of the doer of activities are actually carried out by three modes of material nature. One who has knowledge of the absolute truth, almighty armed, does not engage himself in the senses of sense gratification. Knowing well the results, the differences between work in devotion and work for fruitive results. Bewildered by the modes of material nature, the ignorant fully engage themselves in material activities and becoming attached. But the wise should not unsettle them, although the duties are inferior due to the performance of lack of knowledge. Therefore, Arjuna, surrendering all your works unto me, with full knowledge of me, without desiring for profit, with no claims of proprietorship, and free from a dirty fight. Those persons who execute their duties according to my injunctions and who follow these teachings faithfully without envy become free from the bondage of fruitive actions. But those who out of envy disregard these teachings and do not follow them regularly are considered benefit of all knowledge, befooled and ruined in their endeavors for perfection. Perfection. Every man, even a man of knowledge, acts according in his own nature. For everyone who follows the nature he acquired from his three modes, what can repression accomplish? There are principles to regulate attachment, aversion, pertaining to the senses of and objects. One should not come under the control of such attachment and aversion because they are stumbling blocks on the path of self-realization. It is far better to discharge one's prescribed duties, even though faultily, than another's duties perfectly. Destruction in the course of performing one's duty is better than engaging in another's duties, for to follow another's path is dangerous. Arjuna said, O descendant of Vrishni, by what is one impelled to sinful acts, even unwillingly as engaged by force? The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, It is lust only, Arjuna, which is born of contact with the material mode of passion, and later transformed into wrath, which is the all-devouring sinful enemy of this world. As fire covered by smoke is as a mirror covered by dust, or an embryo covered by the womb, the living entity is similarly covered by different degrees of lust. Thus, the wise living entity's pure consciousness becomes covered with eternal enemy, the form of lust, which is never satisfied and burns like fire. The senses of the mind and intelligence are sitting in places of this lust. Through them, lust is covered in real knowledge of the living entity and bewilders them. Therefore, Arjuna, best of Bhartas, in the very beginning, curb is the great symbol of sin. By regulation, the senses and slay the destroyer of knowledge and self-realization. The working senses are superior to dull matter. Mind is higher than the senses. Intelligence is higher than the mind, and the soul is higher than the intelligence. Thus, knowing oneself to be transcendental to the material senses, mind, and intelligence, O mighty armed Arjuna, one should steady the mind by deliberate spiritual intelligence, Krishna consciousness, and thus by spiritual strength conquer this insatiable enemy known as lust. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purport to the third chapter of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. In the matter of karma yoga, the discharge of one's prescribed duty in Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama.
We need to recite the fourth chapter. Please share the book. Come forward. Maybe you both can share one book. And we can share one book.
I can give mine.
Okay, yes. We are reciting the Sanskrit Shloka, chapter 4, Transcendental Knowledge. Sit forward. Yes. Are you ready? Come forward. Okay. Chapter 4, Transcendental Knowledge. Shri
Vacha imam vivasvate yogam vanahamavyayam vivasvamanave praha manurikshvakave bravit evam parampara praptam imam rajashrayo viduhu sakalena mahata yogo nashta parantapa sa evayam maya tedya yoga prokta puratana असि मे सखा चेति रहस्यं ह्येतदुत्तमम्। अर्जुन उवाच अपरं भवतो जन्म परं जन्म विवस्वता कथं एतद्विजानीयां तमादौ प्रोक्तमिति। भगवान् उवाच बहूनि मे व्यतीतानि जन्मानि तव चार्जुन तान्यहं वेद सर्वाणि न त्वं वेत्त परन्तप। अजोऽपि सन्नव्ययात्मा भूतानामीश्वरोऽपि सन् प्रकृतिं स्वामविष्टाय सम्भवाम्यात्ममायया यदा हि धर्मस्य ग्लानिर् भवति भारत अभ्युत्थानमधर्मस्य तदात्मानं सृजाम्यहम्। परित्राणाय साधूनां विनाशाय च दुष्कृतां धर्मसंस्थापनार्थाय सम्भवामि युगे युगे। जन्म कर्म च मे दिव्यम् एवं यो वेत्ति तत्त्वतः तत्र देहं पुनर्जन्म नैति मामेति सोऽर्जुन। वितरागभया क्रोधा मन्मया ममुपश्रिता बहवो ज्ञानतपसा भूता मां भवमागताः। ये यथा मां प्रपद्यन्ते तां तथैव भजाम्यहम्। मम वर्त्मानुवर्तन्ते मनुष्यपार्थसदृशः। कर्मणं सिद्धिं यजन्ता इह देवता क्षिप्रं हि मनुष्ये लोके सिद्धिर्भवति कर्मजा। चतुर्वर्ण्यं मया सृष्टं गुणकर्म विभागशः तस्य कर्तारमपि मां विद्यकर्तारमव्ययम्। न मां कर्माणि लिम्पन्ति न मे कर्मफले स्पृहा इति मम योऽभिजानाति कर्माभिर्न स बध्यते। एवं ज्ञात्वा कृतं कर्म पूर्वैरपि मुमुक्षुभिः पूर्वतरं कृतं न किं कर्ममिति यत्र मोहिता तत्ते कर्म प्रवक्ष्यामि यज्ञात्वा मोक्षसे सुबत्। कर्मणो ह्यपि बोधव्यं च विकर्मणा अकर्मणश्च बोधव्यं गहना कर्मणो गतिः। कर्मण्यकर्मया पश्येत् अकर्मणि च कर्मया सा बुद्धिमान् मनुष्येषु स युक्ता कृत्स्नकर्मकृत्। यस्य सर्वे समारम्भा कामसङ्कल्पवर्जिताः ज्ञानाग्निदग्धकर्माणं तमाहुः पण्डितं बुधाः। कर्मफलासङ्गं मिथ्यातृप्तो निराश्रयः कर्मण्यभिप्रवृत्तोऽपि नैव किञ्चित् करोति सः। निराशीर्यतचित्तात्मा सर्वपरिग्रहः शरीरं केवलं कर्म कुर्वन्नाप्नोति किल्बिषम्। यदृच्छालाभसन्तुष्टो द्वन्द्वतीतो विमत्सरा समसिद्धवसिद्धौ च कृत्वापि न निबध्यते। सङ्गस्य मुक्तस्य ज्ञानवशिष्ठतेजसा यज्ञायाचरिता कर्म समग्रं प्रविलीयते। ब्रह्मार्पणं ब्रह्महारि ब्रह्मज्ञौ ब्राह्मणहुतं ब्रह्मैवातेन गन्तव्यं ब्रह्मकर्म सनादिना। देवमेवापरे यज्ञं योगिना परिपाषते यज्ञं यज्ञेनैवोपजुह्वति। सम्यग्निषु जुह्वति शब्दादीनिषानन्य इन्द्रियाग्निषु जुह्वति। सर्वेन्द्रियकर्माणि प्राणकर्मणि चापरे आत्मसंयम्य गोकर्णौ जुह्वति गणदीपिते। द्रव्ययज्ञस्तपो यज्ञ योगयज्ञस्तथा परे सद्यः संस्थितावृतः। युवती प्राणं प्राणपानस्तथा परे प्राणपानगति श्रुत्वा प्राणायामपरायणः अपरे नियताहारा प्राणं प्राणेषु जुह्वति। सर्वेऽप्येते यज्ञविदो यज्ञं चकितकल्मषः यज्ञशिष्टामृता भुजौ शान्ति ब्रह्म सनातनम् नायं लोकोऽस्ति यज्ञस्य भूतोऽन्यः कुरु सातम एवं बहुविधा यज्ञा यथा ब्राह्मणो मुखे कर्मजान् विदितान् सर्वान् जिरेयान् द्रव्यमयाद् यज्ञान् ज्ञानान्यज्ञातपरन्तपा सर्वकर्माखिलं पाता ज्ञाने परिसमाप्यते तद्विधि प्रणिपातेन परिप्रश्नेन सेवया उपदेक्षन्ति ते ज्ञानं ज्ञानिनस्तत्त्वदर्शिनः यज्ञात्वा येन भूतानि शेषानि रक्षामि अपि चेदसि पापेभ्यः सर्वज्ञानमेव संस्तरिष्यसि यन्ते यन्ते भासि सद्गुरुते अर्जुन ज्ञानाग्नि सर्वकर्माणि भस्मसात् कुरुते तथा नहि ज्ञानेन सदृशं पवित्रम् इह विद्यते तत्त्वयं योगसंशिता कलेनात्मनि विन्दति श्रद्धावान् लभते ज्ञानं परं संयमेन्द्रिया ज्ञानं यत्त्वा परं शान्तिरेणाधिगच्छति अज्ञश्च श्रद्धानश्च संशयात्मविनाश्यति नायं लोकोऽस्ति न परो न शुकं संशयात्मनः योगसंन्यासकर्माणं ज्ञानसंशयम् आत्मवन्तं न कर्माणि तस्माज्ञानसंयुक्तं ज्ञानशीनात्मना चित्तेन संशयं योगम् हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे.
Books and the Bhaktivedanta Sanskrit verses of the chapter 4, the Srimad Bhagavatam, the matter of transcendental knowledge. Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama
Chapter 5 Karma Yoga Action in Krishna Consciousness. Arjuna said, O Krishna, first of all, you asked me to renounce work, and then again, you recommend me with devotion. Now, will you kindly tell me definitely which one of the two is more beneficial? The personality of Godhead replied, the renunciation of work and work in devotion are both good for liberation. But of the two, work in devotional service is better than renunciation of work. One who neither hates nor desires the fruits of his activities is known to be always renounced. Such a person, free from all dualities, easily overcomes material bondage and is completely liberated. O mighty armed Arjuna, only the ignorant speak of devotional service, Karma Yoga, as being different from analytical study of the material world, Sankhya. Those who are actually learned say that he who applies himself well to one of these paths achieves the results of both. One who knows that the position reached by means of an analytical studies can also be attained by devotional service, and who therefore sees analytical study and devotional service to be on the same level, sees things as they are. Merely renouncing all activities, yet not engaging in the devotional service of the Lord, cannot make one happy. But a thoughtful person engaged in devotional service can achieve the supreme without delay. One who works in devotion, who is a pure soul, and who controls his mind and senses is dear to everyone, and everyone is dear to him. Though always working, such a man is never entangled. A person in the divine consciousness, although engaged in seeing, hearing, touching, smelling, eating, moving about, sleeping, and breathing, always knows within himself that he actually does nothing at all. Because while speaking, evacuating, receiving, or opening or closing his eyes, he always knows that the material senses are engaged with their object and that he is aloof from them. One who performs his duty without attachment, surrendering the results unto the Supreme Lord, is unaffected by sinful actions, as the lotus leaf is untouched by water. The yogis, abandoning attachment, act with body, mind, intelligence, and even with senses, only for the purpose of purification. The steadily devoted soul attains unadulterated peace because he offers the result of all activities to me. Whereas a person who is not in union with the divine, who is greedy for the fruits of his labor, becomes entangled. When the embodied living being controls his nature and mentally renounces all his actions, he resides happily in the city of nine gates, the material body, neither working nor causing work to be done. The embodied spirit, master of the city of his body, does not create activities, nor does he induce people to act, nor does he create the fruits of actions. All this is enacted by the modes of material nature. Nor does the Supreme Lord assume anyone's sinful or pious activities. Embodied beings, however, are bewildered because of their ignorance which covers their real knowledge. When, however, one is enlightened with the knowledge by which nescience is destroyed, then his knowledge reveals everything, and the sun lights up everything in the daytime. When one's intelligent, mind, and faith and refuse are all fixed in the Supreme, then one becomes fully cleansed of misgivings, through complete knowledge, and thus proceeds straight on the path of liberation. The humble sages, by the virtue of true knowledge, see with equal vision a learned and a gentle Brahmana, a cow, an elephant, a dog, and a dog-eater, outcast. Those whose minds are established in sameness and equanimity have already conquered the condition of birth and death. They are flawless like Brahman, and thus they are already situated in Brahman. A person who neither rejoices upon achieving something pleasant nor laments upon obtaining something unpleasant, who is self-intelligent, who is unbewildered, and knows the God of science of God is already situated in transcendence. Such a liberated person is not attracted to material sense, pleasure, but is always in trance, enjoying the pleasure within. In this way, the self-realized person enjoys unlimited happiness, for he concentrates on the Supreme. An intelligent person does not take part in the source of misery, which are due to the contact of the material senses. O son of Kunti, such pleasures have a beginning to an end, and so with a wise man does not delight in them. Before giving up present body, if one is able to tolerate the urges of the material senses and check the force of desire and anger, he is well situated and is happy in this world. One whose happiness is within, who is active and rejoices within, and whose aim is inward, is actually the perfect mystic. He is liberated in the Supreme, and ultimately he attains the Supreme. Those who are beyond the dualities that arise from doubts, whose minds are engaged within, who are always busy working for the welfare of all living beings, and who are free from all sins, achieve liberation in the Supreme. Those who are free from anger and all material desires, who are self-realized, self-disciplined, and constantly endeavoring the perfection, are assured of liberation in the Supreme in the very near future. Shutting out all external sense objects, keeping the eyes and vision concentrated between the two eyebrows, suspending the inward with the outward, breathed within the nostrils, and thus controlling the mind, senses, and intelligence, the transcendentalist aiming the liberation becomes free from desire, fear, and anger. One who is always in the state is certainly liberated. A person in full consciousness of me, knowing me to be the ultimate beneficiary of all sacrifices and austerities, the supreme lord of all planets and demigods, and the benefactor and well-wisher of all living entities, attains peace from the pangs of material miseries. Hare
Shri Bhagavan Anashreta Karushya Phalam Karyam Karma Karoti Sa Sanyasi Chayogi Isha Nanirudnirna Chakriya Yam Sanyasamiti Prabhur Yogam Tam Vidi Pandava Nahi Asanyasta Sankalpo Yogi Bhavati Gashana Arurukshurmunayogam karma karanamujyate yogarudhasya taseva samakaranamujyate yada hidendriyarateshu na karmasu anushishyate sarva sankalpa sanyasi yogarudhasadochyate उदारे आत्मनात्मानं नात्मानं अवसादय आत्मैव ह्यात्मनो बन्धुः आत्मैव रुपुरात्मनः बन्धुरात्मात्मनस्तस्य येनात्मैवात्मना जितः अनात्मनस्तु शत्रुत्वे वर्तितात्मैव श्राद्धुपात् जीवात्माना प्रशान्तस्य परमात्मा समाहितः शीतोष्णसुखदुःखेषु तथा मानपमानयोः ज्ञानभेज्ञानतृप्तात्मा कुतस्थो विजितेन्द्रियः युक्त इति उच्यते योगी समलोष्टास्मकञ्चनः सुप्रीं मित्रार्युदासीन मध्यस्थद्वेष्य बन्धुषु साधुषु अपि च पापेषु समबुद्धिर्विशस्यते योगी युञ्जितसत्तातम् आत्मनं रहसि स्थितः एकहि यत्चित्तात्मा निरस्येदपरिग्रहम् शुचोदेशे प्रतिष्ठाप्य स्थिरम् असनम् आत्मनः नात्युच्छ्रितं नतिनीतं चेलजिज्ञकुशोत्तरम् तत्रैकाग्रं मनः कृत्वा यतचित्तेन्द्रियक्रिया उपादिश्यानयुञ्जात् योगम् आत्मविशुद्धये समं कार्याशिरोग्रीवं धरयम् अचलं स्थिरं सम्प्रेक्ष्य नक्षिराग्नं स्वं देशश्चानवलोकयन् प्रशान्तात्मा विगताभिर्ब्रह्मचारी व्रते स्थितः मनः संयम्य युक्तस्थिता मत्परः युञ्जमेवं सदात्मानं योगी नियतमानसः शान्तिं निर्वाणपरमं मत्संस्थमधिगच्छति न चैस्मतस्तु योगिस्ति न चैतम् अनश्नतः न चाति स्वप्नशीलस्य जाग्रतो नैव चार्जुनाम् युक्ताहारविहारस्य युक्तशिस्तस्य कर्मसु युक्तस्वप्नावबोधस्य योगो भवति दुःखः यदस्मिनीयतं चेतम् आत्मन्येव प्रतिष्ठते निष्क्रियः सर्वकामेभ्यो युक्त इति उच्यते तथा यथा दीपो निवासस्तु लिङ्गते सोपमस्मृता योगिनो जतचित्तस्य युञ्जतो योगः यत्र परमते चित्तं निरुद्धं जगत्सेवया यत्र चैवात्मनात्मानं पश्यन् आत्मानि तुष्यति सुखम् आत्यन्तिकं यत्तत् बुद्धिग्राह्यम् अतीन्द्रियं वेति यत्र न चैवायं स्थितश्चलति तत्त्वतः यं लब्ध्वा च परं लाभं मन्यते मादिकं ततः यस्मिन् स्थितो न दुःखेन गुरुणापि विचाल्यते तं विद्यात् दुःखसंयोगः वियोगं योगसंज्ञितम् सा निश्चयेन योक्तव्यो योगनिर्विण्णचेतसा सङ्कल्पा प्रभवं कामं त्यक्त्वा सर्वं चेतसः मनसेन्द्रियाग्रामं विनियम्य समन्तताम् सा शनैः शनैरुपारमेत् बुद्ध्यधृतिगृहीतया आत्मसंस्थां मनः कृत्वा न किञ्चिदपि चिन्तयेत् यातो यातो निश्चलति मनश्चञ्चलमस्थिरं ततस्ततो नियम्यतत् आत्मन्येवावसंनयेत् प्रशान्तमनसं ह्येनं योगिनं सुखमुत्तमम् उपैति शान्तराजसं ब्रह्मभूतं कल्मषम् युञ्जमेव सदात्मानं योगिभिः सुखेन ब्रह्मसंस्पर्शम् आद्यन्तं सुखमाश्नुते सर्वभूतस्थमात्मानं सर्वभूतानि चात्मनि इच्छते योगयुक्तात्मा सर्वत्र समदर्शनम् यो मां पश्यति सर्वत्र सर्वं च मयि पश्यति तस्याहं न प्रणश्यामि स च मे न प्रणश्यति सर्वभूतस्थितं यो मां भजत्येकत्वमस्थितः सर्वथा वर्तमानोऽपि स योगी मयि वर्तते आत्मोपायेन सर्वत्र समं पश्यति अर्जुन सुखं यदि वा दुःखं स योगी परमो मतः अर्जुन उवाच योऽयं योगस्त्वया प्रोक्तः साम्येन मधुसूदन एतस्याहं न पश्यामि चञ्चलत्वस्थितिं स्थिरम् चञ्चलं हि मनः कृष्ण प्रमाथि बलभद्रितं तस्याहं निग्रहं मन्ये वायोरिव सुदुष्करम् श्रीभगवानुवाच असंशयं महाबाहो मानदुर्निग्रहं चलम् अभ्यासेन तु कौन्तेय वैराग्येण च गृह्यते असंयतात्मना योगो दुष्प्रापत्ति मे मतिः पश्यात्मना तु यतता साख्यवक्तुमुपायतः अर्जुन उवाच अयति श्राद्धयोपेतो योगश्चलितमानसः अप्राप्य योगसंसिद्धिं कं गतिं कृष्ण गच्छति कच्छिन्नो भायविपृष्टश्चेन्न प्रमितनुष्यति अप्रक्लिष्टो महाबाहो विमुढो ब्रह्मणः पथि एतां मे संशयं कृष्ण चेतुमर्हस्य शेषतः त्वदन्यः संशयस्य चेतना हि उपपद्यते श्रीभगवानुवाच पार्थ नैवेह हीनस्तस्य विधीयते न हि कल्याणकृत् कश्चित् दुर्गतिं तत्र गच्छति प्राप्य पुण्यकृतं लोकं भूषित्वा शाश्वती समः शुचीनं श्रीमतं गेहिं योगभ्रष्टो विजायते अथवा योगिनम् एव पुण्ये भावति धीमताम् एतादि दुर्लभतरं लोके जन्म यदृशम् वशस्रातं बुद्धिसंयोगं लभते पूर्वदेहिकं यतते च ततो भूय संसितो कुरु नन्दन पूर्वाभ्यसेन तेनैव दीयते ह्यवशोऽपि च विद्याशूरपि योगस्य शब्दब्रह्मति वर्तते प्रयत्नाद्यतमानस्तु योगी संशुद्धकिल्बिषा अनेकजन्म संसिद्धस्ततो याति परं गतिम् तपस्विभ्योऽधिको योगी ज्ञानिभ्योऽपि मतोऽधिकः कर्मिभ्यश्चाधिको योगी तस्मात् योगी भवार्जुन योगिनमपि सर्वेषां मद्गतेनान्तरात्मना श्रद्धं भजते यो मां स मे युक्ततमो मतः हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Can I repeat? Yeah, the patient is different. Translation of chapter 6. The 7. Oh, you want me to? I signed up for 6. I think you signed up for 7 also. Oh, it was 7? I thought it was 6. 7. Never mind. 7. I did 6. If anybody else wants to read that, I can start. You know, like the English translation to chapter 7? Go ahead. You can come.
Knowledge of the Supreme Personality The Supreme Personality of Godhead says, Now hear, O son of Partha, how by practicing yoga in full consciousness of me, with mind attached to me, you can know me in full free from doubt. I shall now declare unto you in full this knowledge, both phenomenal and luminous. This being known, nothing further shall remain for you to know. On out of many thousand among men, one may endeavor for perfection, and of those who have achieved perfection, hardly one knows me in truth. Earth, water, fire, air, either mind, intelligence, and false ego. Altogether, these eight constitute my separated material energies. Besides these, O mighty armed Arjuna, there is another superior energy of mind which comprises the living entities who are exploiting the resources of material inferior nature. All created beings have their source in these two natures of all that is material and all that is spiritual in this world, known for certain that I am both the organ and the dissolution. No conqueror of wealth, there is no truth superior to me. Everything rests upon me as pearls, as strung on a thread. O son of Kunti, I am the taste of water, the light of sun, and the moon, the syllable. Om in the Vedic mantras, I am the sound in ether and ability in man. I'm the original fragrance of the earth, and I'm the heat I'm the heat and fire. I am the life of all that lives, and I am the finances of all aesthetics. O son of Partha, known that I am the original seed of existence, the intelligence of the intelligent, and the powerless of all powerful man. I am the strength of the strong, devoted of passion and desire. I am sex life is not contrary to religious principles, O Lord of the Bharatas, known that all states being be they of goodness, passion, or ignorance, are manifested by my energy. I am in one sense everything, but I am independent. I am not under the modest of material modes of material nature, for they are the con- contrary are within me. Deluded by the three modes, the whole world does not know me, who am, who am above the modes and inexhaustible. This divine energy of mind, consisting of the three moods of material nature, is difficult to overcome, but those who have surrendered onto me can easily cross beyond it. Those miscreants who grossly foolish, who are lowest among mankind, whose knowledge is stolen by illusion, whose partake of the artistic nature of demons, do not surrender unto me. O best among the Bhartas, four kinds of fierce men began to render devotional service unto me. The distrust, the desire of wealth, the inquisitive, and he who is searching for knowledge of the Absolute. Of these, the one who is in full of knowledge and who is always engaged in pure devotional service is best. For I am very dear to him and he is dear to me. All of these devotees are undoubtedly magnanimous souls, but he who is situated in knowledge of me, I consider to be just like my own self, being engaged in my transcendental service. He is sure to attain me the highest and most perfect goal. After many births in death, who is actually knowledge renders unto me, knowing me to be the cause of all causes, in that all is such a great soul is very real. Those whose intelligence has been stolen by material desires surrender unto demigods and follow the particular rules and revelations of the worship according to their own natures. I am in everyone's heart as the super soul. As soon as one desires to worship some demigod, I make his faith steady so that he can devote himself to particularly deity. Unwowed with such a faith, he endeavors to worship particularly the demigod and obtains his desires, but in actual these benefits are restored by me alone. Men of small intelligence worship the demigods of their fruits, so limited and temporary. Those who worship the demigods go to the planets of the demigods. For my devotees, un, um, ultimately reach my supreme planet. Unto unintelligent men who do not know me perfectly, think that I, the supreme personality of Godhead Krishna, was impersonal before and have now assumed this personality due to their small knowledge. They do not know my higher nature, which is imperishable and supreme. I am never manifest to the foolish and intelligent. For them I am covered by my internal potency, and therefore they do not know that I'm unborn and failing born. O Arjuna, as the supreme personality of Godhead, I know everything that has happened in the past, all that is happening in the present, and all the things that are yet to come. I also know all living intensities. But me, no one knows. Ocean of Bharata, O conqueror of the world, all living entities are born into delusion, bewildered by dualities arising from desire and hate. Persons, persons who have acted piously in previous lives, in this life, and whose sinful actions are completed, eradicated, or free from the dualities of delusion, and they engage themselves in my service with determination. Intelligent persons who are endeavoring for liberation from old age and death take refuge in me in devotional service. They are actually Brahman, because they entirely know everything about transcendental activities. Those in full confusion of me who know me the Supreme Lord to be the governing manifestation of demigods and of the old methods of sacrifice can understand and know me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, even at the time of death. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Chapter 8. Chapter 8. Attaining the Supreme. Arjuna Uvacha Kim Tat Brahma Kim Adhyatmam Kim Karma Purushottama Adbhutam Cha Kim Proktam Adidaivam Kim Uchyate Adiya Jnana Pratam Kotra Dehesmin Madhusudana Prayana Kale Chakratam Jayosi Nyatatmanavi Sri Bhagavan Aksharam Brahma Paramam Svabhavodatmanam Uchyate Bhuta Bhavodbhavakaro Visarga Karma Samjitaha Adibhutam Ksharo Bhava Puruchaschaivatam Adiyajnohamevatra Dehe Deha Vritam Vara Antakale chamam yeva smaran mukta kalevaram yaha prayati samadbhavam yati nasyatra samshayaha yam yam vapi smaran bhavam jajatyandanta kalevaram tam tam yevaiti kaunteya sada tadbhava bhavitaha tasmat sarveshu kaleshu manusmarayudhya cha Mayarpita mano buddhir mamamyevasya samsashayaha abhasya yoga yukutena cetasananyagamina paramam purusham divyam yati partanuchintayan
कविं पुरुषाणम् अनुसितारम् अनोरणीयानुषम् अनुस्मरेद्यः सर्वस्य दातारम् अचिन्त्यरूपम् आदित्यवर्णं तमसा परस्तात् प्रायङ्काले मनसा चलेन भक्त्या युक्तो योगबलेन चैव भ्रुवोर्मध्ये प्रणममवेश्य सम्यक् संतं परमं पुरुषम् उपैति दिव्यम् यदक्षरं देवदिवो वदन्ति विसन्ति यतयो वितरागः यदिच्छन्तो ब्रह्मचर्यं चरन्ति तते पदं सर्वग्राहेण प्रवक्षे सर्वधर्माणि संयम्य मनोवृत्तिनिर्लिप्य च मृजन्यात्मना परणम् अस्तिस्तो योगधारणम् ओमित्येकक्षरं ब्रह्म व्याहरन्मम् अनुस्मरन् यः प्रयाति तज्जन्तेऽहं स याति प्राणं गतिम् अनन्ये चेतसा ततं यो मम स्मरति दशा तस्याहं सुयोगपार्थ नित्ययुक्तस्य योगिना माम् उपेत्य पुनर्जन्म दुःखालयं शाश्वतं न पुण्यवन्ति महात्मानः संसिद्धिं परमं गता अब्रह्मभुवनलोका पुनरव्यक्तिमर्जुन मामुपेत्य तु कौन्तेय पुनर्जन्म न विद्यते सहस्रयुगपर्यन्तम् आर्यब्राह्मणो विदुः रात्रिं युद्धसहस्रान्तं तो ते रात्र विदो जनः यक्तं व्यक्ता सर्वा प्रभवन्त्या अहर्गागमे रात्र्यागमे प्रालीयन्ते तत्रैव यत्ता संज्ञके भूताग्रामः स एवायं भूत्वा भूत्वा प्रालीयते रात्रागमे वशः पाता प्रभवति अहर्गागमे परसस्तस्मात् भावोऽन्यो व्यक्तो वर्तत् सनातना यः स सर्वेषु भूतेषु नात्यस्तु न विनश्यति अव्याक्तोऽक्षर इत्युक्तस्तम्भाः परमं गतिं यं प्राप्य न नैवर्तन्ते तद्धर्म परं मम पुरुषः स परः पार्थ भुक्त्यालभ्यस्तवानन्यया यस्यानतास्थितानि भूतानि येनो सर्वमिदं ततं यात्रा कलेत्वा अनावृत्तिम् आवृत्तिं चैव योगिना प्रयतयन्ति तत्फलं भक्षामि भारतस्तरशपा अग्निर्ज्योतिरहं शुक्ला सन्मान उत्तरायणम् तत्र प्रयता गच्छन्ति ब्रह्म ब्रह्मविदो जना धूमो रात्रिस्ततः कृष्णा सन्मान दक्षिणायनम् तत्र चन्द्रमानसं ज्योतिर्योगी प्राप्य निवर्तते शुक्लकृष्णे गतीयेते जगतः सर्वविद्मते एकयायतत् अनावृत्तिम् अनन्या वर्तते पुनः नैते स्थिति पार्थ जननं ज्ञानं योगी मुह्यति कश्चन तस्मात् सर्वेषु कालेषु योगयुक्तो भवार्जुन वेदेषु यज्ञेषु तपस्सु चैव दानेषु यत् पुण्यफलं प्रतिष्ठम् अत्येति तत्सर्वमिदं त्वाय योगी परं सतम् उपैति चाद्यम् हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे राम 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 हरे हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे राम राम हरे हरे कृष्ण हरे कृष्ण हरे 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 राम
श्रीमद्भगवद्गीता नवमोऽध्यायः राजविद्या राजगुह्ययोगः श्रीभगवानुवाच इदं तु ते गुह्यतमं प्रवक्ष्याम्यमनसूयवे ज्ञानं विज्ञानसहितं यज्ञात्वा मोक्षयेस्मात् राजविद्या राजगुह्यं पवित्रमिदमुत्तमं प्रत्यक्षावगमं धर्म्यं सुसुखं कर्तुमव्ययम् अश्रद्धाना पुरुषा धर्मस्यास्य परन्तप अप्राप्य मां निवर्तन्ते मृत्युसंसारवर्त्मनि मया ततमिदं सर्वं जगदव्यक्तमूर्तिना मत्स्थानि सर्वभूतानि न चाहं तेष्वस्थितः न च मत्स्थानि भूतानि पश्य मे योगमैश्वरम् भूतभृन्न च भूतस्थो ममात्मा भूतभावनः यथाकाशस्थितो नित्यं वायुः सर्वत्र गो महान् तथा सर्वाणि भूतानि मत्स्थानीत्युपधारय सर्वभूतानि कौन्तेय प्रकृतिं यान्ति मामिकां कल्पक्षये पुनस्तानि कल्पादौ विसृजाम्यहम् प्रकृतिं स्वामवष्टभ्य विसृजामि पुनः पुनः भूतग्राममिमं कृत्स्नम् अवशं प्रकृतेर्वशात् न च मां तानि कर्माणि निबध्नन्ति धनञ्जय उदासीनवदासीनम् असक्तं तेषु कर्मसु मयाध्यक्षेण प्रकृतिः सूयते सचराचरम् हेतुनानेन कौन्तेय जगद्विपरिवर्तते अवजानन्ति मां मूढा मानुषीं तनुमाश्रितं परं भावमजानन्तो मम भूतमहेश्वरं मोघाशामोघकर्माणो मोघज्ञानाविचेतसः राक्षसीमासुरीं चैव प्रकृतिं मोहिनीं श्रिताः महात्मानस्तु मां पार्थ दैवीं प्रकृतिमाश्रिताः भजन्त्यन्यमनसो ज्ञात्वा भूतादिमव्ययम् सततं कीर्तयन्तो मां यतन्तश्च दृढव्रताः नमस्यन्तश्च मां भक्त्या नित्ययुक्ता उपासते ज्ञानयज्ञेन चाप्यन्ये यजन्तो मामुपासते एकत्वेन पृथक्त्वेन बहुधा विश्वतो मुखम् अहं क्रतुरहं यज्ञः स्वधाहमहमौषधम् मन्त्रोऽहमामेवाज्यम् अहमग्निरहं भूतं पितामहस्य जगतो माता दाता पितामहः वेद्यं पवित्रम् ओङ्कार कृत्सामयजुरेव च गतिर्भर्ता प्रभुः साक्षी निवासः शरणं सुहृत् प्रभवः प्रलयस्थानं निधानं बीजमव्ययम् तपाम्यमहं वश्यं विभृन्नाम्युत्सृजामि च अमृत चैव मृत्युश्च सदसच्चामहर्जुन त्रैविद्या मां सोमपापूतपापा यज्ञैरिष्ट्वा स्वर्गतिं प्रार्थयन्ते ये पुण्यमासाद्य सुरेन्द्रलोकम् अश्नन्ति दिव्यान् दिवि देव भोगान् एतं भुक्त्वा स्वर्गलोकं विशालं क्षीणे पुण्ये मर्त्यलोकं विशन्ति एवं त्रयी धर्ममनुप्रपन्ना कृतागतं कामकामा लभन्ते अनन्याश्चिन्तयन्तो मां ये जनाः पर्युपासते तेषां नित्याभियुक्तानां योगक्षेमं वहाम्यहम् येऽन्यदेवता भक्ता यजन्ते श्रद्धयान्वितः तेऽपि मामेव कौन्तेय यजन्त्य विधिपूर्वकम् अहं हि सर्वयज्ञानां भोक्ता च प्रभुरेव च न तु मामभिजानन्ति तत्त्वेनातश्च वन्ति ते यान्ति देवव्रता देवान् पितॄन्यान्ति पितृव्रताः भूतानि यान्ति भूतेज्य यान्ति मद्याजिनोऽपि माम् पत्रं पुष्पं फलं तोयं यो मे भक्त्या प्रयच्छति यदहं भक्तुप्रहृतम् अश्नामि प्रयतात्मनः यत्करोषि यदश्नासि यज्जुहोषि ददासि यत् यत्पश्यसि कौन्तेय तत्कुरुष्व मदर्पणम् शुभाशुभफलैरेवं मोक्ष्यसे कर्मबन्धनैः सन्न्यासयोगयुक्तात्मा विमुक्तो मामुपैष्यसि समोऽहं सर्वभूतेषु न मे द्वेषोऽस्ति न प्रियः ये भजन्ति तु मां भक्त्या मयि ते तेषु चाप्यहम् अपि चेत् सुदुराचारो भजते मामनन्यभाक् साधुरेव समन्तव्यः सम्यग् व्यवहितो हि सः क्षिप्रं भवति धर्मात्मा शश्वच्छान्तिं विगच्छति कौन्तेय प्रतिजानीहि न मे भक्तप्रणश्यति मां हि पार्थव्यपाश्रित्य येऽपि स्युपापयोगिनः स्त्रियो वैश्यास्तथा शूद्रास् तेऽपि यान्ति परां गतिम् किं पुनः ब्राह्मणा पुण्या भक्ता राजस्य यस्तथा अनित्यमसुखं लोकम् इमं प्राप्य भजस्व माम् मन्मना भव मद्भक्तो मद्याजी मां नमस्कुरु मामे वैश्यसि युक्त्वैवम् आत्मानं मत्परायणः उपनिषत्सु ब्रह्मविद्यायां योगशास्त्रे श्रीकृष्णार्जुनसंवादे राजगुह्ययोगो नाम नवमोऽध्यायः। हरे कृष्ण हरे कृष्ण हरे राम हरे राम
Chapter 10 The Opulences of the Absolute. Ve Bhagavan Vacha Bhuya Eva Mahabaho Shrunu Me Paramam Vacha Yatteham Priyamanaya Vakshyami Hitakamyaya Name Vidu Suragana Prabhavam Namaharshaya Amadirhi Devanam Maharshinam Cha Sarvasha यो मामजमनादिञ्च वेत्ति लोकमहेश्वरम् असम्मूढा समर्थेषु सर्वपापैः प्रमुच्यते बुद्धिर्ज्ञानमसम्मोहः क्षमा सत्यं दमः शमः सुखं दुःखं भवो भावः भयं च भयमेव च अहिंसा समता तुष्टिः तपोदानं यशो यशः भवन्ति भावा भूतानां मत्त एव पृथिव्या महर्षय सप्तपूर्वे चत्वारो मनवस्तदा मद्भावा मानसा जाता येषां लोका इमा प्रजा एतां विभूतिं योगं च मम यो वेत्ति तत्त्वतः सोऽविकम्पेन योगेन युज्यते नात्र संशयः अहं सर्वस्य प्रभवः मत्तः सर्वं प्रवर्तते इति मत्वां भजन्ते मां बुधा भावा समन्विताः मच्चित्ता मद्गता प्राणा बोधयन्तः परस्परं कथयन्तश्च मां नित्यं तुष्यन्ति च रमन्ति च तेषां सततयुक्तानां भजतां प्रीतिपूर्वकं ददामि बुद्धियोगं तं येन मामुपयान्ति ते तेषामेवानुकम्पार्थम् अहमज्ञानजं तमः नाशयाम्यात्मभावस्था ज्ञानदीपेन भास्वता अर्जुन उवाच परं ब्रह्म परं धाम पवित्रं परमं भवान् पुरुषं शाश्वतं दिव्यम् आदिदेवामजं विभुम् आविष्ट्वा ऋषयः सर्वे देवर्षिर्नारदस्तथा असितो देवलो व्यासः स्वयं चैवाब्रवीषिमे सर्वमेतत्कृतं मन्ये यन्मां वदसि केशव न हि ते भगवन् व्यक्तिं विदुर्देवा न दानवाः स्वयमेवात्मनात्मानं एतत्त्वं पुरुषोत्तमा भूतभावनभूतेश देवदेव जगत्पते वक्तुमर्हस्य शेषेण दिव्या ह्यात्मविभूतया याभिर्विभूतिभिर्लोकान् इमां त्वं व्याप्य तिष्ठसि कथं विद्यामहं योगिन् त्वां सदा परिचिन्तयन् केषु केषु च भावेषु चिन्त्योऽसि भगवन्मया विस्तरेणात्मनो योगं विभूतिं च जनार्दन भूयः कथय तृप्तिर्हि शृण्वतो नास्ति मे मृतम् श्रीभगवानुवाच अन्तते कथयिष्यामि दिव्या ह्यात्मा विभूतया प्राधान्यतः कुरुश्रेष्ठ नास्त्यन्तो विस्तरस्य मे अहमात्मा गुडाकेश सर्वभूताशयस्थितः अहमादिश्च मध्यं च भूतानामन्तमेव च आदित्यानामहं विष्णु ज्योतिषां रविरंशुमां मरीचिर्मरुतामस्मि नक्षत्राणामहं शशि वेदानां सामवेदोऽस्मि देवानामस्मि वासवः इन्द्रियाणां मनश्चास्मि भूतानामस्मि चेतना रुद्राणां शङ्करश्चास्मि वित्तेषु यक्षरक्षसां वसूनां पावकश्चास्मि मेरुशिखरिणामहम् पुरोदसां च मुख्यं मां विद्धि पार्था बृहस्पतिं सेनानीनामहं स्कन्दः सरसामस्मि सागरः महर्षीणां भृगुरहं गिरामस्मेकमक्षरम् यज्ञानां जपयज्ञोऽस्मि स्थावराणां हिमालयः अश्वत्थः सर्ववृक्षाणां देवर्षीणां च नारदः गन्धर्वाणां चित्ररथः सिद्धानां कपिलो मुनिः उच्चैश्रवसमस्वानां विद्धि माममृतोद्भवम् ऐरावतं गजेन्द्राणां नराणां च नराधिपम् आयुधानामहं वज्रं धेनूनामस्मि कामधु व्रजनश्चास्मि कन्दर्पः सर्पाणामस्मि वासुकिः अनन्तश्चास्मि नागानां वरुणो यादसामहम् पितॄणामर्यमा चास्मि यमः संयमतामहम् प्रह्लादश्चास्मि दैत्यानां कालः कलयतामहम् मृगाणां च मृगेन्द्रोऽहम् वैनतेयश्च पक्षिणां पवनः पवतामस्मि रामः शस्त्रभृतामहम् जुषाणां मकरश्चास्मि स्रोतसामस्मि जाह्नवी सर्गाणामादिरन्तश्च मध्यं चैवाहमर्जुन आध्यात्मविद्यानां वादप्रवदतामहम् अक्षराणामकारोऽस्मि द्वन्द्वः सामासिकस्य च अहमेवाक्षयः कालः दाताहं विश्वतोमुखः मृत्युः सर्वहरश्चाहम् उद्भवश्च भविष्यताम् कीर्तिश्रीवाक्षरारीणां स्मृतिर्मेधा धृतिक्षमा बृहत्सामा तथा साम्नां गायत्री छन्दसामहम् मासानां मार्गशीर्षोऽहम् ऋतूनां कुसुमाकरः द्यूतं चलयतामस्मि तेजस्तेजस्विनामहम् जयोऽस्मि व्यवसायोऽस्मि सत्त्वं सत्त्ववतामहम् वृष्णीनां वासुदेवोऽस्मि पाण्डवानां धनञ्जयः मुनीनाम् वाक्यहं व्यासः कवीनां शनाकविः दण्डोदमयतामस्मि नीतिरस्मि चिकीर्षिताम् मौनं चैवास्मि गुह्यानां ज्ञानवतामहम् यच्चापि सर्वभूतानां बीजं तदहमर्जुन न तदस्ति विना यत् स्यात् मया भूतं चराचरम् नान्तोऽस्ति मम दिव्यानां विभूतीनां परन्तपः एतत्तु देशतः प्रोक्तः विभूतिर्विस्तरो मया यद्यद्विभूतिमत्सत्त्वं श्रीमदूर्जितमेव वा तत्तदेवावगच्छन् त्वं मम तेजोंशसम्भवम् अथवा बहुनैतेन किं ज्ञातेन तवार्जुन इष्टव्याहमिदं कृत्स्नम् एकांशेन स्थितो जगत् हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम
Chapter 11, the universal form. Arjuna Uvacha, by my hearing the instructions you have kindly given me about these most confidential spiritual subjects, my illusion has now been dispelled. O lotus-eyed one, I have heard from you in detail about the appearance and disappearance of every living entity and have realized your inexhaustible glories. O greatest of all personalities, O supreme form, though I see you here before me in your actual position, as you have described yourself, I wish to see how you have entered into this cosmic manifestation. I want to see that form of yours. If you think that I am able to behold your cosmic form, O my Lord, O Master of all mystic power, then kindly show me that unlimited universal self. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha. The Supreme Personality of Godhead says, my dear Arjun, O son of Pruta, see now my opulences, hundreds of thousands of varied divine and multicolored forms. O best of Bharatas, see here the different manifestations of Aditya, Vasus, Rudras, Aswini Kumaras, and all other demigods. Behold the many wonderful things which no one has ever seen or heard of before. O Arjuna, whatever you wish to see, behold at once in this body of mine. This universal form can show you whatever you now desire to see and whatever you may want to see in the future. Everything, moving and non-moving, is here completely in one place. But you cannot see me with your present eyes. Therefore, I give you divine eyes. Behold my mystic opulence. Sanjaya Uvacha. O King, having spoken thus, the Supreme Lord of all mystic power, the personality of Godhead, displayed his universal form to Arjuna. Arjuna saw in that universal form unlimited mouths, unlimited eyes, unlimited wonderful vision. The form was decorated with many celestial ornaments and wore many divine unpraised weapons. He wore celestial garlands and garments, and many divine scents were smeared over his body. All was wondrous, brilliant, unlimited, all expanding. If hundreds of thousands of suns were to rise at once into the sky, their radiance might resemble the effulgence of the Supreme Person in that universal form. At that time, Arjuna could see in the universal form of the Lord the unlimited expansions of the universe situated in one place, although divided into many, many thousands. Then, bewildered and astonished, his hair standing on end, Arjuna bowed his head to offer obeisances and with folded hands began to pray to the Supreme Lord. Arjuna Uvacha. My dear Lord Krishna, I see assembled in your body all the demigods and various other living entities. I see Brahma sitting on the lotus flower, as well as Lord Shiva and all other sages and divine servants. O Lord of the universe, O universal form, I see in your body many, many arms, bellies, mouths, and eyes, expanded everywhere, without limit. I see in you no end, no middle, and no beginning. Your form is difficult to see because of its glaring effulgence spreading on all sides, like blazing fire or the immeasurable radiance of the sun. Yet I see this glowing form everywhere, adorned with various crowns, clubs, and discs. You are the supreme primal objective. You are the ultimate resting place of all this universe. You are inexhaustible and you are the oldest. You are the maintainer of the eternal religion, the personality of Godhead. This is my opinion. You are without origin, middle, or end. Your glory is unlimited. You have numberless arms, and the sun and moon are your eyes. I see you with blazing fire coming forth from your mouth, burning this entire universe by your own radiance. Although you are one, you spread throughout the sky and the planets and all space between. O Great One, seeing this wondrous and terrible form, all the planetary systems are perturbed. All the hosts of demigods are surrendering before you and entering into you. Some of them, very much afraid, are offering prayers with folded hands. Hosts of great sages and perfected beings crying, all peace, are praying to you by singing the Vedic hymns. All the various manifestations of Lord Shiva, the Adityas, the Vasus, the Sadhyas, the Visvadevas, and the two Asvis, the Maruts, the forefathers, the Gandharvas, the Yaksas, the Asuras, and the perfected demigods are beholding you in wonder. O mighty armed one, all the planets with the demigods are disturbed at seeing you great form, with its many faces, eyes, arms, thighs, legs, and belly, and your many terrible teeth, as they are disturbed, so am I. O all-pervading Vishnu, as I see you with your many radiant colors touching the sky, your gaping mouth, and your great glowing eyes, my mind is perturbed by fear. I can no longer maintain my steadiness or equilibrium of mind. O Lord of Lords, O refuge of the worlds, please be gracious to me. I cannot keep my balance seeing these your blazing death-like faces and awful teeth. In all directions I am bewildered. All the sons of Dhritarashtra, along with their allied kings and Bhishma, Drona, Karna, and our chief soldiers also are rushing into your fearful mouths. And some I see trapped with heads smashed between your teeth. As the many waves of the rivers flow into the ocean, so do all these great warriors enter into your blazing mouths. I see all people rushing full speed into your mouths, as moths dash to destruction in a blazing fire. O Vishnu, I see you devouring all people from all sides with your flaming mouth, covering all the universe with your effulgence. You are manifest with terrible scorching rays. O Lord of Lords, so fierce of form, please tell me who you are. I offer my obeisance unto you. Please be gracious to me. You are the primal Lord. I want to know about you. for I do not know what your mission is. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha. Time I am, the great destroyer of the worlds, and I have come here to destroy all people. With exception of you, the Pandavas, all the soldiers here on both sides will be slain. Therefore, get up, prepare to fight and win glory. Conquer your enemies and enjoy a flourishing kingdom. They are already put to death by my arrangement, and you, O Savyasati, can be but an instrument in the fight. Drona, Bhishma, Jayadratha, Karna, and other great warriors have already been destroyed by me. Therefore, kill them and do not disturb. Simply fight, and you will vanquish your enemies in battle. Sanjaya Uvacha. O king, after hearing these words from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the trembling Arjun offered obeisances with folded hands again and again. He fearfully spoke to Lord Krishna in a faltering voice as follows. Arjuna Uvacha. O master of the senses, the world becomes joyful upon hearing your name, and thus everyone becomes attached to you. Although the perfected beings offer you their respectful homage, the demons are afraid, and they flee here and there. All this is rightly done. O great one, greater even than Brahma, you are the original creator. Why then should they not offer their respectful obeisances unto you? O limitless one, God of gods, refuge of the universe, you are the invincible source, the cause of all causes, transcendental to this material manifestation. You are the original personality of Godhead, the oldest, the ultimate sanctuary of this manifested cosmic world. You are the knower of everything, and you are all that is knowable. You are the supreme refuge above the material modes. O limitless form, this whole cosmic manifestation is pervaded by you. You are air and you are the supreme controller. You are fire, you are water, and you are the moon. You are Brahma, the first living creature, and you are the great grandfather. I therefore offer my respectful obeisances unto you 1,000 times, again and yet again. Obeisances to you from the front, from behind, and from all sides. O unbounded power, you are the master of limitless might. You are all pervading, and thus you are everything. Thinking of you as my friend, I have rashly addressed you, O Krishna, O Yadav, O my friend, not knowing your glories. Please forgive whatever I may have done in madness or in love. I have dishonored you many times, jesting as we relaxed, lay on the same bed, or sat or ate together, sometimes alone and sometimes in front of many friends. O infallible one, please excuse me for all those offenses. You are the father of this complete cosmic manifestation of the moving and the non-moving. You are its worshipable chief, the supreme spiritual master. No one is equal to you, nor can anyone be one with you. How then could there be anyone greater than you within three worlds, O Lord of immeasurable power? You are the supreme Lord, to be worshipped by every living being. Thus I fall down to offer you my respectful obeisances and ask your mercy. As a father tolerates the impotence of his son, a friend of the impertinence of a friend, or a husband of the familiarity of his wife, please tolerate the wrongs I may have done you. After seeing this universal form, which I have never seen before, I am gladdened. But at the same time, my mind is disturbed with fear. Therefore, please bestow your grace upon me and reveal again your form as the personality of Godhead, O Lord of Lords, O abode of the universe. O universal form, O thousand-armed Lord, I wish to see you in your four-armed form, with helmeted head and with club, wheel, conch, and lotus flower in your hands. I long to see you in that form. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha. My dear Arjuna, happily have I shown you by my internal potency this supreme universal form within the material world. No one before you has ever seen this primal form, unlimited and full of glaring effulgence. O best of the Kuru warriors, no one before you has ever seen this universal form of mine, for neither by studying the Vedas, nor by performing sacrifice, nor by charity, nor by pious activities, nor by severe penances, can I be seen in this form in the material world. You have been perturbed and bewildered by seeing this horrible feature of mine. Now let it be finished. My devotee, be free again from all disturbances. With a peaceful mind, you can now see the form you desire. Sanjaya Uvacha. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, having spoken thus to Arjuna, displayed his real four-armed form and at last showed his two-armed form, thus encouraging the fearful Arjuna. Arjuna Uvacha. When Arjuna thus saw Krishna in his original form, he said, O Janardhan, seeing this human-like form, so very beautiful, I am now composed in mind and I am restored to my original nature. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. My dear Arjuna, this form of mine you are now seeing is very difficult to behold. Even the demigods are ever seeking the opportunity to see this form which is so dear. The form you are seeing with your transcendental eyes cannot be understood simply by studying the Vedas, nor by undergoing serious penances, nor by charity, nor by worship. It is not by these means that one can see me as I am. My dear Arjuna, only by undivided devotional service can I be understood as I am, studying before you, standing before you, and can thus be seen directly. Only in this way can you enter into the mysteries of my understanding. Gita Sarvastra. My dear Arjuna, he who engages in my pure devotional service, free from the contaminations of fruitive activity and mental speculation, he who works for me, who makes me the supreme goal of his life, and who is friendly to every living being, he certainly comes to me. Hare
Chapter 12 Devotional Service. Sri Arjuna Uvacha Evam Satata Yukta Ye Bhakta Swam Paripashate Ye Chakraksharam Avyaktam Tesam Ke Yogaditamaha. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Maya Rishasya Mano Ye Mam Nitya Yukta Upasate Shraddhaya Parayopetas Te Me Yukta Tamamataha. Etvaksharamanideshyam avyaktam paripashate sarvatra gatam achityam cha kutastam achalam dhruvam sanniyam yendriyagramam sarvatra samabuddhayaha te prapnuvanti mameva sarvabhutahite rataha kleshodik
विकतरस्तेषाम् अव्यक्ता शक्तचेतसम् अव्यक्ता हि गतिर्दुःखं देहावद्भिरवप्यते ये तु सर्वाणि कर्माणि मयि सन्न्यस्य मत्परः अन्यन्येव योगेन मां ध्यायन्त उपासते तेषामहं समुद्धाता मृत्युसंसारसागरात् भवामि नाचिरात् पार्थ मया चेतसम् मय्येव मनादस्त्वा मयि बुद्धिं निवेशिष्यसि मय्येव अत ऊर्ध्वं न संशयः अत चित्तं समादातुं न शक्नोषि मयि स्थिरम् अभ्यासयोगेन ततो मामिच्छाप्तुं धनञ्जय अभ्यासाद्यसमर्थोऽसि मत्कर्म परमो भव मदात्मपि कर्माणि कुर्वन् सिद्धिमवाप्स्यसि अथैदपि असक्तोऽसि कर्तुं मद्योगमाश्रितः सर्वकर्मफलत्यागं तथा कुरु यथास्मवान् श्रेयो हि ज्ञानम् अभ्यासात् ज्ञानज्ञानं विशिष्यते ज्ञानात् कर्मफलत्यागस्त्यागश्चन्तिरनन्तरम् अद्वैतः सर्वभूतानां मैत्रेयः करुणा एव च निर्ममो निरहङ्कारः समदुःखसुखक्षमी सन्तुष्टः सततं योगी यतात्मा दृढनिश्चयः मय्यर्पिता मनोबुद्धिर्यो मद्भक्तः स मे प्रियः यस्मान्नो द्विजते लोको लोकान्नो द्विजते च यः हर्षमर्षभयोद्वेगे मुक्तो यासन् स च मे प्रियः अनापेक्षा सुचित्तक्ष उदासीनो गतव्यतः सर्वारम्भ परित्यागी यो मद्भक्तः स मे प्रियः यो न हर्षित न द्वेषित न शोचति न काङ्क्षति शुभाशुभं परित्यागी भक्तिमान् यः स मे प्रियः समः शस्त्रौ च मित्रे च तथा मानापमानयो शीतोष्णा सुखदुःखेषु समः सङ्गविवर्जितः तुल्या निन्दास्तुतिर्मौनी सन्तुष्टो येन केनचित् अनिकेता स्थिरामतिर्भक्तिमान् मे प्रियनरः ये तु धर्मामृतम् इदं यथोक्तं परिभाषते श्रद्धादानमतः परमं भक्तास्तेऽतीव मे प्रियः हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम हरे
Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Chapter 13, Nature, the Enjoyer and Consciousness. Arjuna said, "O my dear Krishna, I wish to know about Prakriti, the nature, Purusha, the enjoyer, and the field and the knower of the field, and of knowledge and the objects of knowledge." The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "This body, O son of Kunti, is called the field, and one who knows this body is called the knower of the field." O Shrine of Bharat, you should understand that I am also the knower in all bodies, and to understand this body and its knower is called knowledge. That is my opinion. Now, please hear, my friend, my brief description of this field of activity and how it constituted, what its changes are, whence it is produced, who who that knower of the field of activities is, and what his influences are.
The knowledge of the field of activities and of the knower of activities is described by various sages in various Vedic writings. It is especially presented in Vedanta Sutra with all reasoning as to cause and effect. The five great elements false ego, intelligence, the unmanifested, the 10 senses, and the mind. The five sense objects desire, hatred, happiness, distress, the aggregate, the life symptoms, and convictions. All these are considered in summary to be the field of activities and its interactions. Humility, pridelessness, non-violence, tolerance, simplicity, appro- approaching a bona fide spiritual master, cleanliness, steadiness, self control, renunciation of the objects of the sense gratification, absence of false ego, the perception of the evil of birth, death, old age, and disease, detachment, freedom from entanglement with children, wife, home, and the rest. Even mindedness amid pleasant and unpleasant events. Constant and unalloyed devotion to me, aspiring to live in a solitary place. Detachment from the general mass of people. Accepting the importance of self-realization and philosophical search for the absolute truth. All this I declare to be the knowledge, and besides this, whatever there may be is ignorance. I shall now explain the knowable, knowing which you will taste the eternal Brahman and the spirit beginningless and subordinate to me, lies beyond the cause and effect of this material world. Everywhere are his hands and legs, his eyes, heads, and faces, and he has ears everywhere. In this way, the super soul exists, pervading everything. The super soul is the original source of all senses, yet he is without senses. He is unattached, although he is the maintainer of all living beings. He trans- trans- transcends the modes of nature, and at the same time, he is the master of all the modes of material nature. The supreme truth exists outside and inside of all living beings, the moving and the unmoving. Because he is subtle, he is beyond the power of the material senses to see or to know. Although far, far away, he is also near to all. Although the supersoul appears to be divided among all beings, he is never divided. He is situated as one. Although he is the maintainer of every living entity, it is to be understood that he devours the, the, the devil of all. He is the source of light in all luminous objects. He is beyond the darkness of matter and is unmanifested. He is knowledge. He is the object of knowledge, and he is the goal of knowledge. He is situated in everyone's heart. Thus, the field of activities, the body, knowledge, and the knowable have been summarily summarily described by me. Only my devotee can understand this truly and thus attain to my nature. Material nature and the living entities should be understood to be beginningless. Their transformation and the modes of matter are products of material nature. Nature is said to be the cause of all material causes and effects, whereas the living entity is the cause of the various suffering and enjoyment in this world. The living entity in material nature, thus follows the ways of life, enjoying the three modes of nature. This is due to his association with that material nature. Thus, he meets with good and evil among various species. Yet, in this body, there is another, a transcendental enjoyer, who is the Lord, the supreme proprietor, who exists as the overseer and permitter, and who is known as the Supersoul. One who understands this philosophy concerning material nature, the living entity, and the incarnation of the modes of nature, interaction of the modes of nature is sure to attain liberation. He will not take birth here again, regardless of his present position. Some perceive the supersoul within themselves through meditation, others through the cultivation of knowledge, and still others through working without rooting desires. Again, there are those who, although not conversant in spiritual knowledge, begin to worship the Supreme Person upon hearing about Him from others. Because of their tendency to hear from authorities, they also transcend the path of birth and death. O Chief of the Bharat, know that whatever you see in existence, both the moving and the non moving, is only a combination of the field of activities and the knower of the field. One who sees the supersoul accompanying the individual soul in all bodies and who understands that neither the soul nor the supersoul within the destructible body is ever destroyed actually sees. One who sees the supersoul equally present everywhere in every living being does not degrade himself by his mind. Thus, he approaches the transcendental destination. One who can see that all activities are performed by the body, which is created of material nature, and sees that the self does nothing actually sees. When a sensible man ceases to different identities due to different material bodies and he sees how beings are expanded everywhere, he attains to the Brahman conception. Those with the vision of eternity can see that the imperishable soul is transcendental, eternal, and beyond the modes of nature. Despite contact with the material body, O Arjun, the soul neither does anything nor is entangled. The sky, due to its subtle nature, does not mix with anything, although it is all pervading. Similarly, the soul situated in Brahman vision does not mix with the body, though situated in that body. O son of Bharat, as the sun alone illuminates this universe, so does the living entity, one within the body, illuminate the entire body by consciousness. Those who see with eyes of knowledge the difference between the body and the knower of the body, and can also understand the process of liberation from bondage in material nature, attain to the supreme goal. Thus, and the Bhaktivedanta translation to the 13th chapter of Srimad Bhagavad Gita in the matter of nature, the enjoyer, and the consciousness. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
Shri Bhagavan Vacha Param Bhuya Pravakshyami ज्ञानानां ज्ञानमुत्तमं यज्ञात्वा मुनयः सर्वे परमं सिद्धिमिति तवता इदं ज्ञानम् उपश्रित्य मम साधर्म अगता सर्गेऽपि नोपजायते प्रलययतीति च मम योनिर्महद्ब्रह्म तस्मिन् गर्भं ददाम्यहं सम्भवः सर्वभूतानां ततो भवति भारत सर्वयोनिषु कौन्तेय मूर्तय सम्भवन्ति य तसं ब्रह्म महद्योनिरहं बीजप्रदपिता सत्त्वं रजस्तमम् इति गुणप्रकृतिसम्भव निबध्नन्ति महाबाहो देहे देहिनमव्ययम् तत्र सत्त्वं निमग्नत्वात् परक्षम् अनमयम् सुखसङ्गेन बध्नन्ति ज्ञानसङ्गेन च न च राजो विद्धि तृष्णासङ्गसमुद्भवं तन्निबध्नि न कौन्तेय कर्मसङ्गेन देहिनां तमस्त्वज्ञानचं विद्धि मोहनं सर्वदेहिनां प्रमादालस्य निद्राभिस्तन्निबध्नन्ति भारत सत्त्वं सुखे सञ्जयन्ति राजा कर्माणि भारत ज्ञानम् आवृत्य तु तमा प्रमत्ते सञ्जयति युत राजस्तमश्च भूय सत्त्वं भात्वि राजसत्त्वं तमश्चैव तमः सत्त्वं रजस्तथा सर्वद्वारेषु देहेऽस्मिन् परोक्ष उपजायते ज्ञानं यदा तदा विद्याद् विवृद्धं सत्त्वमिति युत लोभप्रवृत्तिमर्हम्भ कर्मणाम् असमास्पृहा राजस्य एतानि जयते विवृते भारतसभा अपर्कासो प्रवृत्तिश्च प्रमादो मोह एव च तमसि एतानि जयते विवृते कुरु नन्दन यदा सत्त्वे प्रवृत्ते तु प्रलयं यति देहभृत् तदोतात्माविदं लोकान् अमालन् प्रतिपाद्यते राजासि प्रलयं गत्वा कर्मासङ्गीषु जायते तथा प्राणेनस्तमसि स्मृदा योनिषु जयते कर्मणा सुकृता यस्य सात्विकं निर्मलफलं राजस्तु फलं दुःखम् अज्ञानं तमसा फलं सत्त्वत् सञ्जयते ज्ञानं राजसो लोभ एव च प्रमादमोहौ तमसो भवतो ज्ञानमेव च ऊर्ध्वं गच्छति सत्त्वस्तमध्यये तिष्ठति रजस गुणश्रीवृत्तिस्त अधो गच्छति तामस नान्यं गुणेभ्यः कर्तारं यदा द्रष्टानुपश्यति गुणेभ्यश्च परं विद्धि मद्भक्तं सोऽधिगच्छति गुणान् एतान् अतीत्यात्रीन् देहि देहसमुद्भवान् ज्ञानं मृत्युजरा दुःखैर्विमुक्तो मृतम् अनुष्ठे अर्जुन उवाच कैर्लिङ्गैस्त्रीन् गुणस्येतान् अतीतो भवतो प्रभो किम् आचर कथं चैतं त्रीन् गुणान् अतिवर्तते श्रीभगवानुवाच प्रकाशं च प्रवृत्तं च मोह एव च पाण्डव न द्वेष्टि समप्रवृत्तान् नानिवर्तानि काङ्क्षति उदासीनवदासीनो गुणैर्यो विचाल्यते गुणावर्तन्त इति एवं यो वितष्टति निगते समदुःखसुख स्वस्थ समालोकं काञ्चन तुल्यप्रियप्रियो दृशस् तुल्यानिन्दात्मसंस्थिता मनापानंश्चोतुलयो मित्तरिपक्षयो सर्वां परित्यजी गुणैतिता स उच्यते मां चो यो व्यभिचारेण भक्तियोगेन सेवते सगुणान् समुदितानि ब्रह्म